Hello and welcome to MediaCast, the podcast series from Mediabrief.com. I'm your host and friend Pawan R. Chawla, and with me today is, and please join me in welcoming him, Milesh Gogad, Chief Marketing Officer of Indegene. Milesh, welcome to this episode of MediaCast and thank you for your time.
Well, thank you so much, Pawan, for having me over here. Very excited about our conversation today.
Thank you for having given us the time, Milesh, and thanks also to Ayan Pramanik of Ad Factors PR and Yadunandan of your excellent comms team who leads it for having made this interaction possible. So, Milesh, before I begin, let me do you the courtesy of introducing you to our listeners. So, by your leave, here goes.
My distinguished guest on this episode of MediaCast is Milesh Gogad, Chief Marketing Officer at Indegene, the digital-first life sciences commercialization company that's playing a crucial role in empowering the healthcare sector, not just in India, but across the world. Milesh is a highly experienced marketing professional with a passion for leveraging technology and innovation to drive growth and deliver exceptional customer experiences. With more than 20 years of experience in global marketing, Milesh, as Chief Marketing Officer at Indegene, is responsible for driving growth and expansion through strategic marketing initiatives. He's been instrumental in building and managing Indegene's global marketing operations and has implemented numerous digital marketing initiatives and advanced analytics capabilities to support data-driven decision-making. Before he joined Indegene, Milesh spent more than a decade at General Electric in various marketing and leadership roles. At GE, Milesh gained extensive experience in marketing strategy, product management, and business development across multiple industries including healthcare, transportation, and finance. Milesh holds an MBA in Marketing and Finance from the Indian Institute of Management, the IIM, and a bachelor's degree in Engineering from the National Institute of Technology.
So that's Milesh Gogad, my distinguished guest on this episode of MediaCast. And Milesh, as you know, is Chief Marketing Officer of Indegene. Milesh, let's begin our conversation. I've been waiting for all the insights that you will bring, and one can see you bring wide, deep, and rich experience as a global marketing leader, especially in the B2B space. So our listeners are in for a rewarding experience. My first question to you, Milesh, because you are CMO of Indegene, is to help set the context for our listeners. Indegene describes itself as a digital-first life sciences commercialization company. And digital-first and commercialization are the important pillars which are going to help healthcare across India. And I do know that you do really valuable work, your company and you offer very relevant services to companies in this space. But give our listeners the quick elevator pitch, the brief intro to what Indegene does in your words, please.
Firstly, Pawan, thank you for starting off with a favorite question of mine. We love to talk about this company and for obvious reasons. So life sciences is a highly innovation-driven and a highly regulated. This is an industry that takes pride on the products that it's developed and the things that it does to advance its purpose and to save as well as for advance human lives. At the same time, the entire process of commercializing a drug or any medical product is highly complex. It is highly regulated and for obvious reasons.
Right.
So we help life sciences companies get their products to the market and grow their impact through its life cycle. Now, the way we do it is in a couple of methods. One is we help them with conduct their clinical trials in a much more efficient and effective way. We help them make regulatory submissions much better and improve the chances of success over there. We also help them educate physicians in a much better way, as well as engage patients in a much more effective way as well. So you see, we are present with them all through their journey from the time they've decided they want to go to the market to the actual market presence itself. And we do all of this in a very digital first way.
Okay.
We are here to augment their operations. We are here to help them improve the effectiveness, efficiency, and experience of the way they work.
Lovely, lovely.
The way we do this is through this unique combination of healthcare expertise as well as technology and the agility that we bring into our operations. About 20% of our team comprises of people who have some kind of a medical degree, some kind of a pharmaceutical degree or experience. We've also contextualized general purpose technology specifically for life sciences applications. And we've got operations around the world. So, depending on which part of the world life sciences companies want to grow in, we are always there to support them on the ground over there.
Lovely. So Indegene primarily works with biopharma, emerging biotech, or medical devices companies. And these are, I think, three of the main pillars. I'm sure you work with several more, but I think these really are the most important pillars for the growth of healthcare in India and therethrough for the health benefits for the largest numbers of people across. You also do another thing. I was looking at your site and I found that very interesting. It's like you are let's say, you are a partner in evaluating even what is in their minds in terms of a service, right? So they will come to you and say, this is what we want to do. Here is our ability, here is our proven expertise, or here is our whatever passion and investments and everything else. And we want to come out with something like this. Do you also help them, sit with them, evaluate it? And if you like it, then from that point onwards, help them get to market. So it's like a full-fledged commercialization service also, because in their success lies the success and happiness or health happiness of more and more people. Is that correct? Have I got it right?
You couldn't have put it better, Pawan, and I completely agree over there. We've got essentially two delivery models through which we operate. One is more of the center of excellence, or a COE model, as we call it.
Yes.
Wherein, especially for some of the enterprise-wide functions, which are large-scale operations of some large-scale companies who might need support in elevating their operations, doing it much faster in a much more nimbler and agile way, and applying technology to improve the efficiency of their operations, we help them with our COE model. But there are also companies who prefer a more outcome-based approach, and we take that also to them. So the second model that we have is where we partner very closely with them through what we call the omni-channel activation model, and it's extremely outcomes-based. So our success is tied to their success.
That's the voice of Milesh Gogad, Chief Marketing Officer at Indegene. This is MediaCast, the podcast series from Mediabrief.com, and I'm your host, Pawan R. Chawla. MediaCast features CMOs and professionals who use different kinds of media, not only to deliver their services, but to create engagements to empower their businesses. Take a short break and be back very soon. Welcome back. This is MediaCast, the podcast series from Mediabrief.com. I'm your host and friend Pawan R. Chawla. With me is our special distinguished guest, young Milesh Gogad, CMO of Indegene, that does phenomenal work in the healthcare sector. I know that 19 of the world's top 20 biopharmaceutical enterprises trust Indegene for digital transformation. So tell our listeners about your business model with each kind of company, and a simple and short explanation, please. I mean, whatever you can share.
Yeah, absolutely. So I already explained the delivery models to you, but let me speak to you more about some of the solutions we offer as well. The way the life sciences value chain works is in the initial stages, when companies are looking at developing drugs, they're conducting some clinical trials. There's a lot of real world data and evidence they are gathering from the clinical trial conduct itself, and they need help with conducting those clinical trials as well in a digital first way, and that's something that we do for them.
Right.
At the same time, as they progress through their value chain and are submitting data and documents for regulatory submissions, now that's a lot of documentation that happens over there. We help them author it in a way that is necessary for regulatory submissions, and we partner with them throughout that approval journey as well. As they get closer to launch, they want to educate physicians about the efficacy of their products, and we help them engage those physicians as well. And after they've launched it, they want to spread the word even more, promote their offerings even more. So we help their marketing operations teams go to market over there, whether it is with marketing content, whether it is with different kinds of campaigns, essentially speak to their audience, which is the physicians, through channels and through content that is relevant to them, and meet them where they are. And eventually, as they progress towards, as patients start consuming those products, we help them manage the a massive amount of cases that could also be reported in a very compliant and efficient way as well. At the same time, ensure that the therapies that they've developed, patients actually adhere to it. So engaging patients at that step to ensure that the efficacy of the therapy is maintained is equally important. So you see, we're with them through the entire journey.
Right. So essentially, obviously, it's a commercial partnership and it could be outcomes driven. It could be whatever you kind of sign on the dotted line with them with. And I don't want to go any deeper, except say that this is something that every company across genres and sectors needs in India. I think you're also going to be helping a lot of Indian entities go to not just market, but go to global markets. And in today's day and age, when third-party cookies, I know Google and Facebook are digging in their heels and not allowing their demise, but they will go. And once they go, your own opted-in, captive, in a decent way, data and people and, entities will really be a huge game changer for everybody. And for Indegene, you will really grow spectacularly, even more than you've already done as third-party cookies get phased out. So thanks for that reply, Milesh. See, the questions so far are to showcase to our listeners what Indegene offers and who your target groups are. And after this next question, we'll get on to the crucial marketing function that you drive so beautifully at Indegene. And this is like B2B marketing. But before we get there, Milesh, answer this question. You stated that your purpose is, and I quote from your site, to enable healthcare organizations to be future ready.
Yeah.
Break that down for me give me the idiot's guide where I'm the idiot who doesn't know how you do it, right? I'm aware that there are centers of excellence, like you mentioned, across phases and action cycles that drive your strategies. But give us the short and simple guide to it. Give us a short answer.
Yeah. So if you look at the entire life sciences industry itself, it lags behind a lot of other industries when it comes to digital adoption.
Right.
When the founders started this company about 25 years ago, they realized that the prevalent processes, systems of this industry are not the most effective or the most efficient. And there is an opportunity to use domain knowledge, healthcare expertise, along with technology to improve the way operations were run. Life sciences companies typically spend about 25 to 30% of their sales into sales and marketing itself. Their expenses in R&D are another 15 to 20%. So that's a significant amount of capital that is locked into these kind of expenses. And there is an opportunity to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of those operations. That's where we come in together. We bring in this deep healthcare expertise. We bring in technology that is specifically built for this particular industry. And we believe the convergence of expertise and technology is what delivers very meaningful outcomes for them.
Excellent. Excellent.
And that is something that makes them ready for the future, which is why we go back to that purpose statement of ours. We're here to enable healthcare organizations be future ready.
That's the voice of Milesh Gogad, Chief Marketing Officer at Indegene. This is MediaCast, the podcast series from Mediabrief.com, and I'm your host, Pavanar Chawla. MediaCast features CMOs and professionals who use different kinds of media, not only to deliver their services, but to create engagements to empower their businesses. Take a short break and be back very soon. Welcome back. This is MediaCast, the podcast series from Mediabrief.com. I'm your host and friend Pavanar Chawla. With me is our special distinguished guest, young Milesh Gogad, CMO of Indegene, that does phenomenal work in the healthcare sector. Milesh, let's talk about marketing. That's what I was actually waiting for a long time. But it was really wonderful also to know how well Indegene empowers the healthcare space in India. And of course, across the world, and I've been reading about it, but this is about India and this is about marketing, which you head. So this is a two-part question. One, how did you become a marketer? And two, how have your diverse experiences with GE helped you as a CMO at Indegene?
Yeah, so I am a marketer by accident. I trained as an engineer and I would have gone on to become an engineer perhaps. Incidentally, after my engineering, a friend of mine asked me to accompany him for a B school entrance test that he was appearing for. I joined him over there and happened to get into a really good B school. Happened to start working at Honeywell immediately after that, which was really my learning ground, if you will, for all things marketing. and never look back. And I'm super glad and grateful that it happened. Very, very fortunate that I got into marketing, and I'm enjoying every moment of it.
Lovely, lovely. And your experiences with GE, how did they help empower you in what you do today at Indegene as CMO?
GE's played a huge role in grooming me as a much well-rounded marketeer, if you will. I've had the fortune of working in a variety of different businesses and a lot of different roles inside of GE. And that diversity has actually built out a sense of appreciation for the speed at which you learn.
Okay.
Just having moved across different industries, you tend to learn those industries also very, very quickly. But also a great appreciation for the roles of other stakeholders that marketing touches. Having worked in product management, in sales, in commercial operations, you tend to appreciate the domain knowledge that comes in over there. And domain knowledge is something that is extremely important for any B2B marketeer to earn the respect within the organization itself. And the other part that I had the fortune of working in and living in different countries around the world.
Wow.
And that develops a sense of cultural sensitivity, which is super important when you're communicating to an increasingly global audience. So very fortunate that I got the opportunity to learn and work over there.
Lovely. Cultural sensitivity, extremely important. Also, the professional sensitivity of interacting with groups and the domain knowledge, the importance of having that.
Yeah.
So, and you also have this global exposure, which is really, really good. So, all those were the important, slightly softer blocks that helped you build you as a marketeer. But how did you prepare for a completely new industry in life sciences? I'm sure that would have started with domain knowledge essential, but just tell us a little something, because this is going to help a lot of marketers. Sometimes, very often companies will say, I want a worldview. I want somebody who's not been doing this. So slightly cliched ways of thinking will go out the window. And that's why, I'm sure Indegene pulled you in from GE and you're doing such a good job. So tell us, how did you prepare for a completely new industry, that is life sciences, to be CMO?
So, Pawan, honestly, I did not prepare for the life sciences industry. Even though I worked at GE for a long time,
Right.
I did not get an opportunity to work in its healthcare business. Regardless, what I did learn from there and what is applicable equally in the life sciences industry is having worked in industries such as renewable energy or aviation. These are also extremely innovation-driven industries, but also highly regulated industries.
Right.
These are also industries that take a lot of pride in innovation, but also industries which are lagging in digital adoption at the same time. And life sciences is not very different. So the way you communicate, the channels could be different, the platforms could be different, but the storytelling approach still remains the same, regardless of any of these industries.
Right.
In any of these industries, you're still speaking to humans who are managing large organizations over there. So appealing to their rational as well as to the emotions is super important. And that's what prepared me for this industry as well.
Wonderful. And I'm sure that being a global company and in a sector which is so highly regulated for the greater good of all, frankly, it's not restrictive or repressive. And I'm sure you must appreciate, and your company would appreciate all the positive things that the government of India has been doing and all dispensations across states have been doing for the greater good of the people. But what you've said is, you have to walk, I'm sure, a deeply satisfying line that is between, the first thing is the greater good of people, but also driving profit with purpose. Because what you're doing is very, very important for the whole space. So yes, you may be a company, and all multinationals in India and regulated spaces are companies run literally by lawyers who will guide them and say, be correct, be sensitive to the needs and the regulatory laws and, comply everything. So that must make your job a little more circumspect in terms of your approach to it. That yes, if I have to reach out to somebody, this is how we'll go out to our TGs in a beautiful way. But what are the sort of cautions that you would give to marketers across industries to be aware of possible legal kind of ramifications or some pitfalls? How do they remain aware, and how do they protect the interests of their company? Because as brand communicators and as marketers, you're all about enhancing the reputation and not, leaving it open to any kind of risk. Of course, you have a very good comms agency with you. You have a good comms team, a good comms head. But give your advice to everybody. Why, whether somebody is in a regulated or a non-regulated or whatever industry, why should they be very conscious about, and what can they do to be careful about this aspect of possible fallouts due to their errors?
So, Pawan, firstly, our industry is very, very purpose driven. And if anything, the last 2 or 3 years have brought the industry's purpose to the fore. This is an industry that's been at the forefront of saving humanity in a very short time frame as well. This was a rare occasion when products were approved, distributed, commercialized in such a short period of time and saved millions of lives itself. At the same time, I do agree that this is a regulated industry, but our clients work in the regulated industry. We are a solution provider to the life sciences company, which is regulated company. So we would exercise the same level of caution that any other corporate would when it comes to sensitivity of communication. Obviously, there are effective training programs in place, and most companies would run what they call a Google test. You do not want to communicate something that would appear in Google the next day that would not be in line with the standards and the ethics that you stand for.
Lovely. So, Milesh, let's talk about marketing for a B2B brand and for a global brand's India arm at that. What have been the main challenges in building a global B2B brand, and how did you overcome them?
We actually went through a pretty large brand refresh exercise Pawan, a couple of years back. When we were researching about the brand, we understood that our brand does not have a credibility problem. But at the same time, our brand does not come across as one that is highly cohesive. It needs far more consistency. It needs a far more inspiration in its communication. And with that brief, we started revamping, refreshing our brand strategy. The first thing we looked at was our brand's ethos itself. Who do we want to come across? What is the purpose? Why do people at Indegene come to work every single day? That's when we started off with phrasing our purpose statement, which is to enable healthcare organizations be future ready.
Right.
Our people take pride in this healthcare expertise we bring in, as well as the technology we've developed. And that helps our clients become future ready. And people now they rally around that purpose statement itself. We also took a hard look at our brand architecture. We had way too many brands that we couldn't invest in every one of them. So we revamped our brand architecture as well. And finally, we looked at our brand's expression. How do we show more energy, more excitement, which should reflect the kind of work that is being done internally, but also shows it externally. And we revamped our brand expression. That's where you must have seen the way our logo was revamped, and some of our communication assets were also completely refreshed.
Oh, absolutely. Because, when you look at a pharmaceutical company's journal, for instance, it's just that, it's like a slightly dull kind of a presentation. But Indegene, the colors, the way your website actually sort of gets out to grab you and your attention and tells you throughout the positives that you mentioned of the body language of your communication, gravitas is never jettisoned.
Yes.
That's the voice of Milesh Gogad, Chief Marketing Officer at Indegene. This is MediaCast, the podcast series from Mediabrief.com, and I'm your host, Pawan Chawla. MediaCast features CMOs and professionals who use different kinds of media not only to deliver their services, but to create engagements to empower their businesses. Take a short break and be back very soon. Welcome back. This is MediaCast, the podcast series from Mediabrief.com. I'm your host and friend Pawan Chawla. With me is our special distinguished guest, young Milesh Gogad, CMO of Indegene, that does phenomenal work in the healthcare sector. You mentioned that, regardless of what industry or sector or subsector you're in, it's the narratives that are important. So, if not most, many many B2B brands struggle to tell their brand stories in a simple and effective way and often fail to resonate with clients. Your take on that? And what's your approach to simplifying storytelling to be more effective?
So great question, Pawan. And this is a constant struggle across B2B marketing communities. I think as B2B marketers, we have to understand that end of the day, we are speaking to humans. They might be working in other companies, but you are still communicating to humans, and humans make decisions based not just on data, but also with emotions. So our storytelling approach also has to appeal to those emotions as much as to the rational part of their decision making process. Some of the things that we have done really well has been investing in thought leadership extremely well. Very regularly, we publish a lot of surveys and research driven reports. We orchestrate these industry councils, which is a group of 20 to 25 senior leaders in their practice areas. Typically, it could be the marketing operations part of the value chain, the digital part, the regulatory or medical affairs part of the value chain. We get them together very often where they talk about some of their largest challenges and how they go about solving some of those. We also host the Indegene Digital Summit, which is a conference that happens once a year and brings together all of these industry thought leaders together. It is by far one of the largest in the industry, and it is a strictly no vendor, no booth kind of an event. In fact, Indegene also does not speak a lot over there as a vendor. We ask our clients to speak at these kind of events. And that's the thought leadership that is highly appreciated by our clients.
Excellent, excellent. That's really the emotional connect which coincides with a big need of the space that you are in, that you're servicing, because everybody wants these constant knowledge updates and big, significant refreshes on knowledge.
That's what our clients look up to, is being the knowledge partner, their practitioner expert, if you will, bringing in that deep subject matter expertise.
Lovely, lovely. It also demonstrates the emotional investment in India. Of course, I mean, everything is done to become bigger and better in the business, but unless you can make your decent profits in a decent purpose-driven way, you cannot plow them back or part of them back into purpose in any case. So, wonderful work. You mentioned that Indegene, Milesh, recently underwent a brand refresh and with you as CMO. So you also mentioned what the need was, but how was the refresh experience? How did you spread the word? What brand campaign did you use? Which media did you use? And what's been the impact? Long question. Take it away.
So, Pawan, this was during the COVID times and lockdowns. Obviously, everyone was working remotely that time. We took a lot of time, not just in researching what our brand stood for and creating the brand strategy, but a significant amount of time in change management as well.
Right.
Rallying the entire organization around the new brand purpose, educating people around what is it that we stand for and how will that be manifested with our brand. Like I said, we didn't just refresh our brand ethos and architecture, but also our brand expression. So it was extremely important that people get a touch and feel of what the brand would come across as. And does it reflect the personality that people exhibit when they are meeting clients as well? A brand is much more than just the assets that you see. It is not just the website or social media channels or some of the other communication vehicles, but it's also the emotions you get, the experience you get when you meet with its people. And there cannot be a dissonance between the people as well as the communication assets. So we spent a lot of time rallying people around our purpose statement, and extremely happy with the way everyone's come around it.
Lovely. And how did you spread the word? I mean, your TGs essentially are B2B.
Yes.
So what is it? Dark social? Was it WhatsApp? What kind of digital marketing did you do? Do you use any bit of programmatic in spreading the word? I mean, just give us a little back of the envelope thing which will help trigger these possible avenues for use by really young, fresh on their jobs, in their jobs marketers.
So, Pawan, this was an omni-channel approach, to use our own vocabulary, if you will. What we wanted to ensure was that the communication is extremely consistent and connected through every channel. And because this was during COVID times, a lot of it was led by digital, as well as because it was the most effective channel for the audience that we have.
Okay.
Communicating to clients, refreshing our website, using social media in a big way, engaging our own internal teams to spread the word in a much better way, revamping some of our physical properties and assets as well. We've used all of those channels at our disposal. The councils as well as the digital summit was another big channel that proved effective to communicate the thought leadership brand also that we had created. And it was a co-created brand. Clients, partners, talent, everyone was personally invested in furthering it.
That's the voice of Milesh Gogad, Chief Marketing Officer at Indegene. This is MediaCast, the podcast series from Mediabrief.com, and I'm your host, Pawan R. Chawla. MediaCast features CMOs and professionals who use different kinds of media not only to deliver their services but to create engagements to empower their businesses. Take a short break and be back very soon. Welcome back. This is MediaCast, the podcast series from Mediabrief.com. I'm your host and friend Pawan R. Chawla. With me is our special distinguished guest, young Milesh Gogad, CMO of Indegene, that does phenomenal work in the healthcare sector. So, my next question to you, Milesh, is what is your team structure, the marketing team structure at Indegene in India?
Sure. Pawan, let me start with what is it that wakes us up from bed every day? We've defined our team's purpose as grow the brand, grow the business. That's why we get to work every single day. Now, the way we do it is in 3 simple steps. We listen, we create, and we amplify. We spend a lot of time just understanding what matters to our clients. Now, this could be through secondary research, this could be through the councils, this could be through surveys and all of the other vehicles that we have. Second step is creating content that matters to these personas. And what I mean by personas over here is not just clients, it's also talent, it's also the analyst community, it's investors, it's a whole lot of audience that we are addressing over here. But creating content both of promotional as well as of educational nature.
Right.
Thought leadership content as well as typical sales enabling assets. The third thing is taking all of this content to the people that really matter, to those audiences that matter through channels that they prefer. These could be digital channels, it could be in-person channels, it could be a new age media as well. So that's the reason why the way we've organized our team is one that aligns with this purpose, with our ways of working.
Right.
And on any single day, any marketeer in our team could be doing either contributing to growing the brand or growing the business. It's not binary. At any single day, they're doing both of those. So we've got a group of marketeers who are very focused on creating content, another group of marketeers who are very focused on driving growth, whether it is through account-based marketing or through performance marketing. But we also have communicators who are responsible for managing our corporate reputation as well as for attracting talent. And a super creative team that ensures that we are on brand and our brand comes across as inspiring and energizing just the way our people are.
Wonderful, wonderful. And as a CMO, or head of any other function or vertical, one is only as good as one's team, Milesh, right?
Absolutely.
And like you said, you all are not just into, say, omni-channel marketing, to use that phrase, but also omni-talented people with super specialists on different functions to sort of drive those parts, which is really nice. So tell me, what does it take to build a great B2B marketing team?
I would say 2 things, Pawan, over there. Of course, great talent, but also great culture.
Lovely.
Having the right kind of skill sets in the team, whether it is the right kind of storytelling skill sets, revenue marketing skill sets, communication skill sets. You definitely need people who have the right kind of skill sets. But at the same time, the culture of the team is extremely important, ensuring that you are experimenting continuously. Marketing methods, ways of storytelling, channels through which you communicate are constantly evolving. So staying on top of them and experimenting on a continuous basis is very important. At the same time, knowing which experiments do you want to scale up and which ones do you want to move on from, that's a vital decision that our team makes. There are experiments that succeed and we institutionalize them as a process. And there are those that we learn from and move on to the next experiment. So that's another important attitude that we are looking for in the team. It's attitude and aptitude, 2 things most important to grow in marketing.
Wonderful. And when you demonstrably and visibly to everybody walk this talk, the result of that is what could be the answer to my next question, which you preempted in any case with your reply. I wanted to ask you, how do you ensure independent thinking and freedom to express in team meetings, empowering the younger teammates? So you don't have a chorus of, yes, yes, I agree, I agree, I agree. Otherwise, youngsters will wait to see what the seniors are saying and say, yeah, that's a good idea. I think so, sir. I think so, ma'am. So anything specific on that count that you want to do to ensure that your younger people and the others also absolutely feel free and feel confident and feel empowered by being encouraged to express themselves openly and freely?
So I wish there was a clear playbook for that, Pawan. If you've seen one that's coming from other marketeers, please share that with me as well. I would love to adopt it. But it's extremely simple. It's about marketeers taking pride in their work. Firstly, our work matters. We are creating good business impact, and we all should be taking pride in it. Second is empathizing with your audience. End of the day, whether it is B2B or B2C, you're still communicating to humans, and never lose sight of that. The third one is expanding our lens beyond marketing to driving growth for the business. Don't get boxed into, this is what my charter is, this is how my role is defined. We are here to enable growth. I keep going back to our purpose statement. It's not just grow the brand, it is also grow the business. So keeping an eye on growth metrics is equally important. How are we enabling other teams to drive growth? That's important as well.
Lovely. And in that response, you also answered my next question. So I will just repeat the question, but I don't want you to answer it because believe me, you've given us so many wonderful insights. My next question was to be, what's your advice to aspiring marketers, the young professionals in the making who haven't joined their first job? But really, through this conversation, you've come out with some wonderful insights, right? So what are the three most important qualities or traits or values that you hold very high as important ones that every young aspiring person wanting to join your team should have? You know, I mean, HR checks all the correct boxes and says, yeah, they've got it all. Now, Mr. Gogad, please look at these young candidates and see who you want to pick. So what are your 2, 3, 4, whatever important values or qualities that you will look for?
So one definitely, Pawan, is the ability to tell a story. And the story need not be about this particular business or this particular industry. It could be your personal story.
Okay.
What are the experiences you've had? What are the learnings you've had? How have you enabled business growth? How have you driven that growth personally?
Lovely.
So definitely good storytelling skills. But the second one is about the hunger to learn, the willingness to be coachable, the ability to learn from other industries and adapt it to our industry.
Lovely.
In our case, at least, we are focused on a singular industry which is highly regulated, but we constantly draw inspiration from other industries that communicate much better, that are far more digitally savvy as well. And the willingness to learn from other industries is also important for us.
Milesh, I really enjoyed the conversation, and as I said just before the break, so many insights, so much of guidance for young marketers, your peers and older people alike, business promoters, everyone across the spectrum, because your approach and the very effective way with which you've broken down the science with heart, you know, and you deploy marketing for Indegene for a sector which is vital to everybody's welfare and health, literally and figuratively. So I've got a lot of insights here, and I'm sure all our listeners also have. I enjoyed the conversation. What did you think of your chat with me on MediaCast on Mediabrief.com?
So firstly, Pawan, thank you for having me over here. A huge thanks to Mediabrief and to MediaCast also for this opportunity. This is one more resource that now we are going to apply to our team as well. I definitely want to hear from other CMOs around how they've driven growth, how they've built brands, and how they've built teams as well. So I'm looking forward to that. If anything, our conversation is an indication of the amount of learnings I'm going to have from there. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much indeed, Milesh, for being part of the episode. And thanks also once again to Ayan Pramanik of Attractive PR Bangalore or Bengaluru. And of course to Yadunandan, your head of comms, Corp Comms at Indegene in India. Thank you very much. That was Milesh Gogad, Chief Marketing Officer of Indegene on MediaCast from Mediabrief.com. I'm your host and friend Pavanar Chawla, and I must say, I certainly enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that you also found the insights as useful and as beneficial as I certainly did. Till we meet again in the next episode of MediaCast from Mediabrief.com, this is your host and friend Pavanar Chawla saying, take care, thank you for joining us, stay safe, bye-bye.